Diddy is playing the system, and it's painfully obvious. He's doing everything he can to delay his trial, which is set for May 5th, 2025. From refusing to eat to avoiding stepping out of his cell, he's pulling every trick in the book to buy himself time. It's almost laughable. He seems to think he can manipulate the legal system the same way he controlled the music industry. But reality is setting in. And this time, there's no escaping the mess he's in. Word from inside the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn is that Diddy has completely stopped eating.
Now imagine if somebody got to one of the correctional officers, and this could happen. They don't make a lot of money. And there's people out there that he has things on that do have a substantial amount of money. Imagine if someone paid someone off on the inside to actually poison his food, give him a heart attack, and he dies. And no one would really think anything of it. So that may be one of the reasons he's not eating. He's really, really paranoid. He's really, really scared.
Now, why would a man who has spent his entire life indulging in fine dining, private chefs, and luxury meals suddenly lose his appetite? Some say it's paranoia. He's terrified someone will poison his food. And honestly, can you blame him? Diddy has made a lot of enemies over the years. People who were once loyal to him have turned against him, and with the number of allegations piling up, it wouldn't be shocking if he thought someone inside the prison was out to get him. However, former inmate Larry Levine has a much simpler theory. Prison food is trash.
Remember, the food is bland. The food is a lot of carbohydrates. It's kind of it fills you up, but you get sick eating it. I mean, there's mold in a lot of that food. The food coming to him is cold. It's not coming to him warm like it would be in a regular housing unit.
For someone who spent years eating at Michelin star restaurants, the idea of choking down a plate of barely edible slop must be a nightmare. But let's be real, this isn't just about the food. This could be yet another calculated move to delay the court process. If Diddy can make himself look frail and sick, he might try to argue that he's not physically capable of standing trial. And it's not like this strategy hasn't worked for other celebrities before. Play the victim, convince the judge that you're on the brink of death, and hope for a sympathetic ruling. But Diddy isn't stopping there. He's also refusing to leave his cell, and this is where things get even more interesting.
He is refusing to come out of his cell to speak to his attorneys and sign paperwork for his case. So he's protesting. He's just sitting there. I refuse to come out. They want to meet with you. They want to talk about your case. I'm not doing it.
In the US legal system, when someone is sued, they have to be formally notified through a process called service of process. But here's the catch. If the defendant is in jail, they must leave their cell to receive the legal documents. But Diddy is refusing to leave his cell. By refusing to come out, he's stalling a major lawsuit, buying himself more time, and making things as complicated as possible. One of the lawsuits he's dodging comes from his former assistant, Philip Pines, who is accusing him of sexual harassment during his time working for Diddy between 2019 and 2021. Pines claimed that Diddy forced him to prepare and clean up after his infamous Wild King Night parties, which allegedly involved drugs, wild groups, and all kinds of depravity.
Phil Pines was Diddy's senior executive assistant from 2019 to 2021. He says his then boss asked him to purchase supplies for parties dubbed Wild King Nights.
We usually had a laundry list of items that included lights, alcohol, marijuana, ketamine, Molly. Those requests started to become more frequent.
Diddy's legal team is now trying to postpone the court conference, most likely to drag this out as long as possible and find a loophole to escape accountability. They're arguing that Diddy never officially received the lawsuit, which is hilarious because the only reason he hasn't received it is that he refuses to step out of his cell. And if all this wasn't messy enough, Jaguar Wright has now entered the chat with an even wilder claim. She's alleging that Diddy contracted HIV while in prison after engaging in intimate activities with fellow inmates.
I mean, he actually caught HIV, like having a lot of women.
Oh yeah, let's just go down the rabbit hole of all of his sins.
I'm just saying.
You want to know what's wild about that though? He faced that head up.
He did.
He didn't stop doing what he's done.
If this is even remotely true, it would explain why he's refusing to leave his cell. He might be seriously ill and trying to keep it hidden from the public. And let's be honest, if Diddy's health is rapidly declining, this could completely change the course of his trial. A sick man, a frail man, a man on the brink. These are things that could delay his case indefinitely if played right. And let's not forget, Diddy has been crying like a baby to get bail. His last attempt was in December 2024, and it was denied. When he appeared in court that day, people barely recognized him. He looked thin, frail, and grayer than ever, a complete shadow of his former self.
He appeared just astonishingly thinner, which you can expect to be inside a federal detention center for a couple months now. A lot different from the luxury lifestyle that he was living before, but he appeared very noticeably thinner, and maybe being locked up in detention is starting to wear on him.
This was a man who once walked red carpets dripping in diamonds, who flexed his wealth at every chance. Now, he looks like a broken man. Even his enemies are starting to feel sorry for him. One insider, Cameron Lindsay, revealed that the living conditions in MDC are horrific, leaking sewage, filthy cells, and food that would make anyone gag.
Lawyer for one inmate called the MDC overcrowded and understaffed. Hell on earth. Combs' own lawyers called it horrific.
Imagine going from a multi-million-dollar mansion with every luxury imaginable to rotting in a jail cell with rats and cockroaches. That alone is enough to break anyone. The stress is clearly getting to him. During Christmas, Diddy had a full-blown mental breakdown.
P. Diddy had a breakdown or meltdown over the holidays when he is still at MDC behind bars. What do you make of those reports? Could he have had this meltdown?
I believe the reports, and obviously Diddy is someone who's rich and famous and has lived a life of luxury for many years, and now he's in federal prison during the holidays.
He begged the guards to let him go to the hospital, but they refused. Later that week, the prison's psychological unit started checking on him daily. Now, this is where things get really interesting. If Diddy can convince the court that he's too mentally unstable to stand trial, this could buy him even more time. But it doesn't stop there. Diddy isn't just trying to delay his own trial. He's allegedly tampering with witnesses from behind bars. Prosecutors claim that he's been using his phone privileges to reach out to witnesses and victims, trying to blackmail, intimidate, or manipulate them into changing their statements.
Do not entertain none of this nonsense and nothing over the phone. I'm gonna need you to get rid of all the leftover pizza boxes. The what? All the boxes left over from the pizza. All the boxes. Okay. Make sure you recycle the plastic like we talked about.
His prosecutors are not buying his games, though. They are pushing for him to remain behind bars indefinitely, arguing that he's a serious risk for witness tampering. And honestly, they have a point. If Diddy is orchestrating a PR campaign from jail, reaching out to key witnesses and trying to silence the people who are set to testify against him, that alone could lead to additional charges. At the end of the day, Diddy is facing some of the darkest allegations in the entertainment industry. And with the trial date creeping closer, his actions make one thing clear. He knows it's impossible for him to walk away from this now. Diddy can try every trick in the book, but this time, the people against him are far more powerful than the ones protecting him. The game is up, the cameras are rolling, and for once, Diddy is not the one directing the final scene.